For most people, watching SpaceX's latest Starship flight, the mission seemed to end with a simple splashdown in the ocean. There were no dramatic tower catches or spectacular explosions dominating the headlines. But beneath the surface, this test may have been one of the company's most valuable flights yet. While some viewers focused on what didn't go perfectly, SpaceX was paying close attention to something much more important: the data. The mission began with a smooth liftoff from Starbase, where all 33 Raptor engines on the Super Heavy booster ignited as planned. Within seconds, the world's largest rocket cleared the launch tower and accelerated towards space. Compared with earlier test flights, this launch looked remarkably stable. One of the biggest improvements came during stage separation, a phase that has challenged many launch systems throughout history. This time, both the booster and the upper stage completed the maneuver cleanly, allowing Starship to continue climbing exactly as intended. As the upper stage headed toward its planned trajectory, the booster began its return journey. On previous flights, problems during the boost-back maneuver prevented engineers from collecting the data they wanted. This time, however, the booster successfully completed that burn, marking an important improvement. Although the final landing burn did not perform exactly as planned, because not every engine restarted, the booster still reached its splashdown area. That alone provided engineers with valuable information about engine performance during the final moments of flight. While attention briefly shifted to the booster, Starship itself continued executing the main objectives of the mission. The spacecraft reached its planned trajectory and prepared for one of the most important demonstrations of the flight. For the first time, it deployed test versions of Starlink satellites using the same payload system that future operational missions are expected to rely on. Even though the satellites were intentionally sent on a path that would eventually lead them back into Earth's atmosphere, the successful deployment proved that the mechanism worked in real flight conditions. The mission wasn't finished yet. After payload deployment, SpaceX attempted another key demonstration that had been postponed on an earlier flight. A single Raptor engine successfully restarted while Starship was already in space. Restarting a rocket engine in orbit is far more challenging than igniting one on the launch pad, and future missions will depend on this capability for orbital adjustments and deep space operations. Completing this test moved Starship another step closer to becoming a fully operational spacecraft, instead of just an experimental rocket. As Starship began its return to Earth, another major test was underway. During atmospheric reentry, temperatures climbed to thousands of degrees as the spacecraft slammed into the upper atmosphere at extreme speed. Engineers closely monitored the performance of the heat shield, one of the most critical systems on the vehicle. Despite facing intense heating, Starship remained stable throughout the descent. The vehicle eventually performed its landing maneuver before making a controlled splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Perhaps the biggest surprise came after the landing itself. Unlike several previous prototypes that broke apart shortly after touching the water, this Starship remained largely intact. That gave engineers an opportunity they rarely get: inspecting a spacecraft that had survived nearly the entire mission. Every surviving heat shield tile, every engine component, and every structural section could now provide information that computer simulations alone cannot fully capture. Looking at the mission as a whole, it becomes clear that success isn't measured only by perfect landings. SpaceX is following a development strategy built around rapid testing, learning, and continuous improvement. Every flight uncovers weaknesses, validates new hardware, and reduces uncertainty for the next mission. Even when certain objectives fall short, the data collected often becomes the most valuable outcome of all. With each successful demonstration, Starship moves closer to regular orbital missions, satellite deployments, and eventually carrying astronauts beyond Earth. This flight may not have looked dramatic to casual viewers, but for the engineers analyzing millions of data points behind the scenes, it represented another major step toward making the world's most ambitious spacecraft fully reusable.